Good afternoon, everybody. It's a rainy June afternoon as I'm sitting in my office in Pedisi. It's currently June 21st, 2025, and I wanted to do a video about a question that I get consulted on a lot, which is what is the real estate buying process in Panama? It's not that much different than most real estate buying processes in North America or the majority of Europe. However, Panama's processes are not quite as stringent as where I'm from, which is Canada, and it can be a little bit perplexing for people when they're coming in not knowing exactly how the process works. So I'm going to go over how Panama Properties does it and the majority of the other agencies that we work with, so that you have a clear understanding of it. And then if you have any other questions afterwards, you can always contact me and I'm happy to advise. So basically the way that we do things here are pretty basic for the first step, which is you find a home or property that you're interested in, and then you put in a offer. Usually this offer process is done verbally to come to an agreement. And then once the price is settled on, then the first step is something that we do that's a little bit more unique than a lot of other agencies. And that is that we do a formal offer letter, okay? And the formal offer letter basically outlines what's been agreed on by both sides verbally. It outlines the details that the lawyers need, such as the finca number, which is the title number of the property. It outlines the details that the lawyers need, such as the buyer's name, ID number, such as passport number or cedula number. And then it also outlines the other lawyer that's involved from both sides, so the buyer lawyer, the seller lawyer, the contact information of everything. This gets signed by both parties, but it is not, I repeat, not a legally binding document in any way, shape, or form. What it does is it serves as a good roadmap for the lawyers to be able to do their job quicker and more efficiently. Okay, traditionally, when I first started viewing real estate transactions, offers would go off to lawyers, and then there'd be a million questions on lawyers, as in, what's this person's email? What's this person's phone number? Who's buying it? What's this? What's that? And then the details are not always laid out quite as formally. And then the lawyers have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drafts of the next stage, which is the promissory contract. Since we at Panama Properties have implemented this offer letter system, what we found is we quite often only go through one draft of the promissory contract, okay? Which brings me to stage number 2. So after the lawyers receive the offer letter, they get to work on drafting what is the promissory contract, okay? And the promissory contract is what I quite often refer to as the meat and potatoes of the real estate deal. And what I mean by that is the real details, the devil's in the details, and this contract is those details. And it outlines everybody's responsibilities, obligations, purchase price that agreed upon, payment structure, deadlines, conditions, contingencies, penalties of breach of contracts, deposit amounts, all that stuff. Typically, at the signing of both sides, once the drafts have been completed, both sides and their legal counsels have agreed upon what they are happy with in the promissory contract, a 10% deposit goes down. Typically, once that 10% deposit goes down, there is a due diligence period for the buyer's attorney to go through and do any type of title searches and other legal searches to make sure that the property is able to be legally sold by the seller. And after that title search is done and the due diligence is done, the 10% is typically released to the seller and becomes non-refundable to the buyer. And then the property can be basically taken off the market, so on and so forth, okay? That within there, like I said, there's closing periods, dates, deadlines, all that stuff. So typically it's 30, 60, 90 days, depending on what's agreed upon for a closing period. The final step of the process is the title transfer contract, or the Contrato de Compraventa. Okay, and this is a very, very legally binding document. It is the title transfer. It is signed, sealed, and delivered at the Notary Republic with either both the seller and the buyer there, or their legal representatives with a power of attorney or power of signing if it's being sold through a corporation or foundation. And you have a nominal director on either of those, or a resident signing agent. So this is done. It is usually signed. The final 90% is usually transferred after both parties have signed, and the document gets submitted to the public registry. And then the property at that point becomes, once it's registered, becomes the ownership of the buyer, the new owner of the property. Okay, so it is very important, in my opinion, to have a competent, experienced lawyer that knows real estate in Panama. Okay, not all lawyers know real estate. Not all lawyers know the process of real estate. I've dealt in deals where somebody uses a friend or a cousin or an uncle who is a lawyer in Panama but has never done a real estate transaction, or very few of them. So I think it's really important to deal with your real estate agent, your real estate professional, and ask them who they recommend as an attorney to deal with real estate, because typically real estate companies such as Panama Properties are dealing with certain lawyers that are very competent in their real estate transactions. So I think having somebody that represents you, that has experience in the process, is extremely important. If you have any questions, reach out to me. My name, my phone number, my email is plastered all over my website, which is www.panama-properties.com. I'm Ken Norton. I'm the owner of Panama Properties. I'm also a sales advisor and in charge of marketing here. So anything else you want to know, reach out to me and I'll be happy to answer. Take care and have a nice day.